So I had a funny idea for this video that I want to use. Instead of using my own first draft stills for this video topic, I'm going to use images of Dobby. It seemed very fitting given what we will be discussing, so enjoy my little joke and me having fun with this because 1, these videos are supposed to be fun for me, and 2, because I have a sneaking suspicion that this video will be a bit lengthy. Let's see how much I can whittle this down. Hello everyone and anyone watching this video right now. As you all very much know by now, given my channel, I am a big My Hero Academia fan. I first watched it back in 2018, but dropped it after I finished either season 4 or 5. It was only until this past September or October where I rewatched it again and got completely obsessed. I rewatched the show multiple times, read the manga, and now possess a growing collection of My Hero merch that very well could rival my Avatar The Last Airbender shrine. Not to mention, the majority of the artwork I make as of recently involves the characters of the show. Dare I say, I really like the series as a whole. One thing I did not do back in 2018 that I have now was interact with the fandom. I have seen a lot of different kinds of fan works, met different kinds of people, and even made friends in the community thanks to the series. However, while I did find good things, I have also found some interesting things, to say the least, some of which being certain opinions on the characters in the series or the series as a whole. One of those interesting topics is what I will be discussing today. Now, the title probably sounds obvious to a lot of you right now that Endeavor, the formerly number 2, currently number 1 hero, is a bad guy. I mean, the show doesn't hide that fact at all. We see many sides of the man, which includes his bad and dangerous side, especially when it came to his family. Despite this, you will still see fans of this character. Now, that alone is not a problem. The problem is when you become an Endeavor apologist instead of an Endeavor fan. An apologist is a fan of a character who tries to make it seem as if the character's bad actions are not that bad, trying to explain away the bad things they have done with whatever explanations they could come up with. Now, while I do understand there is nuance when it comes to just about every situation, trying to explain away topics like this is something not really possible in my eyes, especially not with the explanations I have come across myself during the time in the fandom so far. Before I start, I do want to reiterate that these are my opinions, no one else's. If you disagree with me, then that is perfectly fine. I am not trying to change people's minds. I just want to give my 2 cents into all of this. I also do not hate Endeavor fans. Be a fan of whatever character you like. Hell, you could even be an AFO fan, and I won't hate you. My kindness only starts to tilt when people try to explain away the awful things a character has done with excuses that are lukewarm at best. Alright, with that being said, let's get to the meat of this by talking about the excuses I have heard regarding Endeavor's actions. Also, one more thing to mention before we actually start is that this video will contain spoilers to the show. There will be things I will mention that may spoil things past where we are in the anime, so past season 7 and into season 8. I have read all the chapters of the manga and will base some of my opinion from what I read. Just to let you all know now that if you do not want to be somewhat spoiled on the series just because you're an anime-only viewer or have not read the manga, maybe do not watch this video. If you're fine with it or caught up, then you can watch all you like. The first statement I have heard, not chronologically in my timeline, but the first we will be talking about, is the statement of, oh, well, his family forgave him for his past actions, which is just factually wrong. The only person within the family that could arguably have forgiven Endeavor was Rei, given her attitude and her actions regarding him in the show and manga, but that is the only person who has been seen as forgiving him. The others have not. Fuyumi, while somewhat forgiving him, will not completely forgive him. Also, I forgot to write this down earlier when I was writing the script. You may point at times where she had tried to get the family together for dinner to say that is her forgiving Enji, like the 2 other times where she got the family together for dinner. However, from what I've seen, it seems more so her wanting her family to be normal and not necessarily a statement on her forgiveness towards Endeavor. It sounds more like she wants to move past it without actually thinking and not actually forgive Enji or work towards forgiving him, just moving past it without thinking about it. Natsuo has made it very clear that he will never forgive Endeavor for his past actions, even making it said that he will never contact the man again. Shoto seemed to be more in the middle in my eyes. At the beginning he had pure hatred for his father, but over time has grown to the idea of him potentially changing for the better. That does not mean he will ever forgive or forget, but he is opening his mind up to the idea. And Dabi literally was burning alive with his hatred for his father. That was the only thing keeping him alive, his hatred for Endeavor. Yes, Toya also counts when talking about this. He is a member of the family after all, and a very good example to prove this explanation as wrong. So no, everyone does not forgive Endeavor for his past actions, nor supports him entirely, and I have to genuinely wonder where people are getting this idea from. Either those people were reading the manga or watching the show with their eyes closed and ears shut, or they did not actually consume the material. This is one of those times where I am reminded how media literacy, people being able to analyze and look into pieces of media, has died on the internet. Not just with this excuse, but frankly with a bunch of them. So let me put this here so you all who say this can understand why you are wrong. If you have an arranged marriage with a woman with her sole purpose being sexual reproduction to have a preferred child, then no, it is not consensual, especially not with the situation Ray was in, and especially not with how her mental health had deteriorated down the line. Which, given how her mental state went, it is very possible she wouldn't be in a position to properly consent to what he wanted. Yo, what up, Editing Toasty here. I do want to point something out that I didn't really clarify originally when I first recorded this. You can have consensual arranged marriages, but that is only if both parties being wed are okay with it. I'm not trying to demonize arranged marriages, but given the position that Ray was in, it did not seem consensual on her part, and it more so seemed like an obligation to her family, which is part of the point I was talking about. If it is an obligation or you are forced to marry someone, then it is not consensual, and any actions after that have a questionable degree of consent to it. That was my point. I am not, again, trying to demonize arranged marriages as long as both parties are aware and are okay with it. As long as that happens, I don't necessarily care. But if one party is being forced into it or is being bought by the other party's family or something along the lines of that, then that has a questionable degree of consent, and that is where I have issue. Just wanted to clarify that before I finished editing this part. Endeavor's whole focus was to make a child that would beat All Might, specifically with a mix of both of their quirks. Given how this man would have seemingly done anything to get what he wanted, I really doubt she had any choice in the matter. In fact, we do see how her questions and worries were disregarded for what Endeavor felt and his thoughts. Over time, we saw how she was beaten down physically and emotionally to just do whatever Endeavor wanted. So if you truly believe that physical and emotional abuse, having a relationship solely based on sexual reproduction, and seeing how much Ray's mental health was struggling due to all of this would not add up to potential sexual assault with Ray, then frankly, I do not know what to tell you. Also, for those of you that say, well, we didn't see it happen in the manga or show, so it must mean it didn't happen. I just have to ask you, can you not think about the media you consume yourself. Something does not need to be shown or said bluntly to still exist within the confines of the series. Things can be implied or things can be hinted at to show that they exist. If you have even a shred of world knowledge on relationships of this sort, then you can connect the dots on why people say that Rey was indeed sexually assaulted. If you have knowledge on this type of thing, then you can or should understand that. If you don't have the knowledge on this sort and are not educated, then perhaps hold off on your opinion on topics you are not educated in until you are, especially topics as serious as this. If you want my personal opinion, yes, I do believe 100% that Rey could have been or was sexually assaulted in her relationship with Endeavor. There are a few main points that I want to talk about regarding this excuse in particular. Firstly, do you guys not remember why Shoto himself does not hate his mom, or why Shoto didn't contact her in so long? Because personally, I feel like those reasons are needed to understand as to why this specific point is invalid. The reason Shoto does not hate Rey for what she did was because he realized the reason why she had done that was because of the abuse inflicted on her by Endeavor. He fully believes that if his father had not abused Rey, then she would not have done what she did to Shoto, which personally I fully believe too. You see flashbacks of Rey being kind and caring to her kids, especially Shoto a couple times, showing she was very much a caring mother and that the boiling water tea kettle incident was a one-time thing. Her action was a reaction to the abuse she suffered at the hands of Endeavor. She had even shown regret and guilt for what she did, then when the action happened and years after. That is why Shoto does not hate his mother for what she did, because he recognized what she went through and knows that what she did was not something she would normally do. The reason why Shoto didn't contact Rey in so long? As much as people would like to say it is because Shoto is scared of Rey after the incident, it is very much not that if you actually pay attention to what is being presented. The reason why is because Shoto does not want to scare Rey with his presence. With what Rey had said during the incident, it was pretty clear she had thought that Shoto looked like his father. It is because of that Shoto did not want to visit his mother or speak to her, because he did not want to hurt her. It turned out that Rey was perfectly okay with Shoto visiting her, but that was his thoughts on it. He didn't visit her not because he was scared, but because he was worried of scaring her. Secondly, this being my main point for this, if you are going to put this one incident that Rey had on the same pedestal as Endeavor's years of abuse towards his children and wife, then frankly, I don't know what to tell you. These are clearly two separate animals in my eyes, and I personally see Endeavor's crimes to be way more worse than the one incident that Rey had with Shoto. Also, one last thing that makes this point worthless, just because Rey did a bad thing does not negate the bad things Endeavor had done. Just because Rey had the tea kettle incident with Shoto does not then delete all of Endeavor's past abuses. Firstly, that is not how abuse works, and second, he abused more people than just Rey and Shoto. He also abused the other kids too. If you are going to erase other people's abuse because someone else did one bad thing to one person, then again, I really don't know what to tell you. Those were all the major excuses I have heard trying to excuse Endeavor's past actions. There very well could be way more, but these were the ones I have heard more frequently. Now then, while I have been going a little hard on these excuses to prove why they are absolute garbage, it does not mean I hate Endeavor fans. Go back to my statement at the beginning. I do not hate fans of Endeavor who realize these things that he did was wrong and do not excuse it. The people I dislike are the apologists, people who excuse his bad actions or try to make it seem like as if his actions are not as bad as people say they are, which they are as bad as people say they are. Even Endeavor himself is not trying to excuse away his past actions. In the series, you can clearly see that Endeavor realizes that his past actions can never and should never be forgiven or forgotten for. He knows this, so instead of going for actions to get forgiveness, he goes for atonement, which is different. Forgiveness, by definition, is letting go of hatred or resentment towards someone who has wronged you. Atonement is an action someone makes to correct a wrongdoing to show they have changed. One is an action that the wrong party takes, and the other is the person who committed the wrong takes. Completely different definitions. Endeavor cannot make his family forgive him. And from what I see, he knows this and does not want this. He wants to prove to them by his actions that he has changed. This action being giving them a new house closer to their schools and jobs and closer to Ray, while Endeavor stays at the family home. Also, his atonement isn't to get forgiveness, it is to change for himself, to be a better person for himself. As far as I have seen, he does not plan for this action to wipe the slate clean. Because of all of this, I do not understand why it is that other people try to explain away his actions when he himself doesn't even try to. Now, after all of this, do I hate Endeavor fans? No, I do not. I am perfectly fine with it if you are a fan of his character. I can see that there are certain aspects about him that you might like or want more from him. I have talked to Endeavor fans who have wanted more of his backstory or wanted more for his atonement, which I completely understand and get. I understand not getting much on a favorite character of yours in canon works. Nidomonoma. Like I said before, do not hate Endeavor fans, just do not like the apologists. Also, I am not an Endeavor fan myself, but again, I will not hate others for being one. There is one last thing about the topic of Endeavor that I do want to talk about, and it is about his redemption arc. I personally do not believe he is a person that can get a redemption arc. Redemption means to save from sin, error, or evil. I do not think he can get redemption from his past actions because those actions are not things easily forgiven or forgotten. Hell, his family shows this very well. His actions were reprehensible and indefensible, regardless of the people trying to excuse them. He could still learn to be a better person, but being a better father is not something in the cards. I fear the time for that has long since passed, and he has burnt a path so harsh that the grass cannot regrow where he has walked. I mentioned before about how he has a plan for atonement, that being making his family a new house far away from him and closer to their mother and places of work and school. That, the atonement, is the thing I think is best suited for him. Not really redemption, but it is redemption in his own way. Atonement with no exception of forgiveness. And from the looks of how his family ended up, it doesn't seem as if everyone will ever forgive him. So that seems like the closest thing he will ever get. That is all I have to say on the matter. Honestly, the reason why I made this is because I've seen so many people try to excuse away his actions as not that bad. And yeah, I say excuse away his actions because the reasons they give are not good or valid explanations for his actions. They are reasons that more so sound like excuses than anything, which is not good to do when it comes to characters like this in my eyes. Like I said, no hate to Endeavor fans that do not do that. This topic does remind me of another video I have in the works about villain characters that I do want to get written in a bit. Don't know when, but we will see. These videos are just a way for me to talk about topics that interest me, or if I just want to ramble on about things, I guess. But again, thank you for watching and listening if you have watched till the end. I will see you all next time, whenever that may be. Bye.